Benita Amadi's graduation cap slipped from her trembling fingers and bounced across the polished hospital floor. No! Min-jun lunged after it, his shoes screeching against the tiles. He grabbed the cap just before it disappeared beneath a row of waiting chairs. When he looked up, Benita had doubled over, clutching her chest so tightly that her knuckles had turned white. Hey, lovelies. If you're new here, welcome to the family. If you love billionaire stories, family dramas, emotional stories, unexpected twists, and powerful life lessons like this one, you're in the right place. Before we begin, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new story. Now grab your favorite snack, get comfortable, and let's jump straight into today's story. Benita, he dropped to his knees in front of her. Look at me, please look at me. She forced a smile that didn't reach her eyes. I'm okay. No, you're not. I said, she inhaled sharply, fighting through the pain. I'm okay. Her voice cracked. The emergency room doors burst open as nurses rushed toward them with a stretcher. Move aside. Min-jun refused to let go of her hand. I'm coming with her. You can't enter. I'm coming with her, he shouted, his voice echoing through the hallway. Benita's fingers tightened around his for one fleeting second, before the nurses gently pried them apart. Min-jun. Her whisper barely reached him. If I don't make it. Don't. Tears streamed down his face as he shook his head violently. Don't you dare finish that sentence. She managed one last smile before the doors slammed shut between them. Min-jun stood frozen, staring at the bright red light above the operating room. His hands were stained with her blood. His chest rose and fell so violently it hurt to breathe. Only 1 hour remained before graduation. 1 hour. 1 hour ago, they had been laughing over whose graduation gown looked more ridiculous. 1 hour ago, she had teased him for fixing his hair every 5 minutes. 1 hour ago, she had promised. We'll walk across that stage together. He slowly looked down at the faded blue friendship bracelet wrapped around his wrist. It was the same bracelet she'd tied there months earlier. The bracelet he had sworn never to remove. His vision blurred as memories crashed into him. Exactly 1 year earlier. The classroom fell silent the moment the door opened. Every pair of eyes turned toward the girl standing beside the homeroom teacher. She was tall, elegant, with rich brown skin that glowed beneath the morning sunlight pouring through the windows. Thick curls framed her face neatly, and although nervousness flickered in her eyes, her smile remained warm. This is your new classmate, the teacher announced. Please welcome Benita Amadi. She recently moved to Seoul. Whispers immediately swept across the room. She's African. Does she understand Korean? Why would someone like her come here? I heard her father works at the embassy. No way. Benita heard every word. She swallowed the lump forming in her throat before bowing politely. Hello, everyone. My name is Benita Amadi. She continued in fluent Korean, earning several surprised stares. It's nice to meet all of you. I hope we become good friends. Silence. A few students exchanged awkward glances. Others looked away. One boy sitting near the window quietly closed the novel he'd been reading. Min-jun. Unlike everyone else, he wasn't starring because she looked different. He simply noticed how tightly she was gripping the straps of her backpack. She was scared. The teacher pointed toward the only empty desk. Please sit beside Min-jun. Benita walked over. Hi, she whispered with a polite smile. Min-jun nodded awkwardly. Hi. Neither of them realized that simple greeting would become the beginning of the greatest love story either of them would ever know. Lunch break arrived. Students quickly formed their usual groups. Benita stood in the cafeteria holding her tray, searching for an empty seat. Every table she approached suddenly became full. Sorry. Someone's sitting here. You can try over there. She forced another smile. It's okay. She knew they were lying. Just as she turned toward a lonely corner, someone spoke behind her. "You can sit with me." She looked around. Min-jun had already moved his backpack from the chair opposite him. "Oh, you don't have to if you don't want to." She laughed softly. "I'd rather sit with someone who actually wants me here." He scratched the back of his neck. "I don't talk much." "That's okay. I mean, really." She smiled wider. "Good. Good. I talk enough for two people." For the first time that day, Min-jun laughed. It wasn't loud. Just one quiet chuckle. But it completely erased the loneliness Benita had carried since entering the school. She sat down. "So," he looked nervous. "So, do you always rescue lonely transfer students?" His ears turned pink. "No. So I'm special." "I didn't say that. You didn't have to." He sighed dramatically. "I think you're going to tease me a lot." "I absolutely am." Their laughter blended with the noise filling the cafeteria. Across the room, several classmates noticed. One girl rolled her eyes. "Seriously? She just got here. And she's already talking to Min-jun. Good luck, he's impossible to crack." Benita had no idea she had just accomplished something no one else had managed in years. Days turned into weeks. Every morning, Min-jun found Benita waiting outside the school gate. "You're early again," he said one chilly morning. "I got lost twice during my first week." "You know the way now." "I do." "Then why are you waiting?" She shrugged. "Walking with you is more fun." He tried to hide his smile. "You smile with your eyes first," she teased. "I do not." "You just did." "I didn't." "You did again." He laughed despite himself. "You never let me win." "That's because you're too easy to read." "I'm not." "You are." "No." "Yes." They spent the rest of the walk arguing over something neither of them actually cared about. By the time they reached school, both were laughing. One afternoon, Benita found Min-jun alone in the library sketching buildings. She quietly sat beside him. "Can I see?" "It's not finished." "I won't judge." Reluctantly, he turned the notebook toward her. Her eyes widened. "Min-jun." "What? Did you draw all of this?" He nodded. She slowly flipped through page after page. Modern skyscrapers. Museums. Bridges. Hospitals. Entire cities. They're incredible. They're just sketches. No. She looked directly into his eyes. They're dreams. He blinked. No one had ever described them like that. "My father says dreams aren't real until someone believes in them." She gently tapped the page. "I believe in yours." Something inside him shifted. No teacher. No classmate. Not even his own parents had ever looked at his drawings the way she just had. "You really mean that?" "I wouldn't lie to you." His voice came out barely above a whisper. "Thank you." She smiled. "So, what? When you're famous?" "I'm not going to be famous." "When you're famous." He laughed. "Can I tell everyone I knew you before you became important?" "You already are important." The words escaped before he could stop them. Benita froze. "So are you." For several seconds, neither of them spoke. Outside, soft snow began falling over Seoul. Neither noticed. They were too busy memorizing the way the other smiled. Winter settled over the city. The school's annual cultural festival arrived, filling the campus with colorful decorations, music, and excited students preparing performances from around the world. Benita had volunteered to organize the international booth. She decorated one corner with vibrant Nigerian fabrics, handcrafted beadwork, and photographs of Lagos, Abuja, and Enugu. The aroma of jollof rice and puff-puff drifted through the hall, drawing curious students who had never tasted Nigerian food before. Min-jun wandered over carrying 2 cups of hot chocolate. "I figured you'd forget to eat." She accepted one gratefully. "You know me too well. I've watched you skip lunch 3 times this week." "I've been busy." "You've been stubborn." She laughed. "I prefer dedicated." Before he could reply, a loud voice interrupted them. "So this is African food." Several boys from another class approached the booth. One of them wrinkled his nose dramatically. "It smells weird." Another picked up a small Nigerian flag from the display. "Do people actually live in houses there?" The others burst into laughter. Benita's smile faded. "They do," she answered calmly, "just like people do here." "Oh, really?" "I've heard lions walk through the streets." More laughter. Min-jun stepped forward. "That's enough." The tallest boy smirked. "What? We're just asking questions." "No," Min-jun said quietly. "You're trying to embarrass her." "And if we are?" Min-jun met his gaze without flinching. "Then you're embarrassing yourselves." The laughter died instantly. For a tense moment, no one moved. Finally, the boys scoffed and walked away, muttering under their breath. Benita let out the breath she'd been holding. "You didn't have to do that." "Yes, I did. I'm used to it." His expression hardened. "You shouldn't have to be." She stared at him, emotions swirling behind her eyes. No one had ever defended her so fiercely, without expecting something in return. She reached for his sleeve. "Thank you." He looked away, suddenly embarrassed. "I just told the truth." She smiled through the sting in her eyes. "And that's exactly why you're different." As the festival continued around them, neither noticed the way their hands brushed together, or how neither of them pulled away. The warmth of her fingertips lingered long after their hands separated. Min-jun couldn't explain why something so small made his heart race, but from that afternoon on, every ordinary moment with Benita suddenly felt extraordinary. He found himself looking for her before he looked at anyone else. If she laughed across the classroom, he smiled without realizing it. If she was absent for even one lesson, the day felt strangely empty. It frightened him, not because he disliked the feeling, because he had never cared about anyone this much before. Spring arrived, covering Seoul in soft pink cherry blossoms. The school courtyard transformed into a sea of petals that drifted through the air like snow. Students gathered beneath the trees, taking photographs and enjoying the warmer weather. Benita stood with her arms stretched wide, spinning slowly as blossoms landed in her curls. "It's beautiful," she exclaimed. Min-jun watched from a nearby bench, pretending to read. She caught him staring. "You know," she called out, "you're supposed to admire the flowers." "I am." "No." She pointed at herself. "You're looking over here." His face instantly turned red. "I was." "You were." "I was." "You've become a terrible liar." He sighed dramatically. "Why do you always catch me?" "Because," she said with a mischievous grin, "you still smile with your eyes first." He laughed and finally closed his book. "You'll never let me live that down, will you?" "Never." She plucked a cherry blossom from his shoulder and held it in front of him. "My grandmother used to say these flowers remind us that beautiful things don't stay forever." He frowned. "That's a sad way to look at them." "I think it's hopeful." "Hopeful?" She nodded. "It means every moment matters." He looked at the blossom in her hand, then at her. "I'd rather beautiful things stayed." She smiled softly. "So would I." Neither of them knew how painfully true those words would become. A week later, the second-year students left for a 3-day school retreat in the mountains outside Seoul. The bus ride was loud. Students sang, played games, argued over music. Benita insisted on teaching everyone a Nigerian song. Half the class butchered the lyrics. Min-jun laughed so hard he nearly dropped his phone. "You're laughing at us," one classmate complained. "I'm laughing because none of you are singing the same words." Benita nudged him. "Come on." "What?" "Sing." "I don't sing." "You sketch." "I sketch." "You study." "I study." "You smile." "Sometimes." "You can sing." "I absolutely cannot." She folded her arms. "Chicken." "I'm not scared." "Prove it." The entire bus suddenly began chanting. "Min-jun. Min-jun. Min-jun." He buried his face in his hands. "This is your fault." Benita grinned shamelessly. "I know." With a defeated sigh, he stood up. "If I embarrass myself." "You will." "I'm blaming you." "You can." He took a deep breath, then quietly began singing an old Korean love song his mother used to hum while cooking. The bus gradually fell silent. His voice wasn't powerful. It wasn't perfect, but it was sincere. When he finished, thunderous applause filled the bus. Benita wiped pretend tears from her eyes. "I didn't know you were hiding that." "I wasn't hiding it." "You definitely were." "I just don't enjoy public humiliation." She laughed until her stomach hurt. "You survived." "Barely." "You'll live." He looked at her. "I hope so." Something about the way he said it made her heart tighten. That evening, after dinner, students gathered around a bonfire. Teachers encouraged everyone to share dreams for the future. One by one, students stood. "I want to become a lawyer, a professional football player, a chef, a pilot." Eventually, the teacher pointed toward Benita. "What about you?" She stood slowly, smiling. "I want to become a pediatric cardiologist." Several students looked surprised. "Why?" She stared into the fire before answering. "When I was little." Her voice softened. "I spent a lot of time in hospitals." The atmosphere changed immediately. There were children younger than me who were always smiling. She swallowed. Some of them never came back. Silence settled around the circle. "I remember thinking," she continued, "if I ever grew up, I wanted to become the kind of doctor who gave children another chance." Nobody laughed. Nobody interrupted. Even the crackling fire seemed quieter. The teacher smiled warmly. "You'll make a wonderful doctor." Benita nodded. "I hope so." The teacher turned toward Min-jun. "And you?" He hesitated before standing. "I want to design buildings." The class chuckled. "You already do." He smiled. "I don't just want to design buildings." He glanced toward Benita. "I want to design places that make people feel safe. Hospitals, schools, children's centers. Places where people can believe tomorrow will be better." Benita couldn't stop smiling. Later that night, as everyone returned to their cabins, she walked beside him beneath a sky full of stars. "You know." "What?" "I liked your answer. I almost changed it." "I'm glad you didn't." She gently bumped his shoulder. "I can already picture people walking through buildings you designed." He laughed. "And I can already picture little kids running to hug Dr. Benita." She stopped walking. "Really? Really?" She looked away quickly. "What?" "My dad says dreams are dangerous." "Why?" "Because if they don't come true." He finished the sentence quietly. "They hurt." She nodded. Min-jun looked directly at her. "I think dreams are worth the risk." She smiled. "You always know what to say." "No. I usually have no idea." You just make me feel like everything will be okay." He didn't answer. Because secretly, he wished that were true. The next morning, students were divided into hiking groups. The trail climbed steadily through towering pine trees. Birds chirped overhead. The air smelled of fresh earth and wildflowers. Benita raced ahead. "Come on." Min-jun laughed. "This isn't a competition. It is now." She ran farther uphill. "You'll tire yourself out. I have plenty of energy." Almost as if the mountain wanted to prove her wrong. She suddenly stumbled. Her knees buckled. Everything happened in seconds. "Benita." Min-jun caught her before she struck the ground. Her face had gone pale. "Hey." She blinked slowly. "I'm fine." "No." He knelt beside her. "You're shaking." "I skipped breakfast." "You ate." "Maybe not enough." He wasn't convinced. The teacher hurried over. "What happened?" "I think she's exhausted." Benita forced another smile. "I just got dizzy." "Should we call an ambulance?" "No." Her answer came too quickly. Everyone stared at her. She laughed nervously. "I mean, I'm okay now." Min-jun studied her carefully. She wouldn't meet his eyes. Something wasn't right. For the rest of the hike, he refused to leave her side. Whenever the trail became steep, he quietly offered his hand. Whenever she slowed down, he slowed too. She noticed. "You don't have to babysit me." "I'm not." "You are." "I'm walking." Very slowly. "So are you." She sighed. "You're impossible." "I've been told." She smiled despite herself. "Thank you." He looked genuinely confused. For what? For pretending not to notice. His heart skipped. Pretending not to notice what? Before he could ask, she started walking again, leaving him with a growing feeling that she was hiding something much bigger than simple exhaustion. After returning to Seoul, final exams approached. The library became their second home. Books covered every inch of the table. Sticky notes filled entire notebooks. Benita groaned dramatically. "If I read one more chemistry formula, I might actually cry." Min-jun looked up from his textbook. "You've said that every day." "Because chemistry hates me." "Chemistry doesn't have emotions." "It definitely hates me." He slid a practice paper toward her. "Try this question." She stared at it for 5 seconds. "No." "You didn't even read it." I sensed evil. He laughed. "You're unbelievable." She rested her chin on the table. "Can we take a break?" "We've only been studying 40 minutes." "Exactly. We planned 3 hours." "I regret agreeing." He smiled. "What if I buy you ice cream?" Her eyes widened immediately. "What flavor?" "I haven't agreed yet." "You already have." He sighed. "You negotiate like a lawyer. And you lose every time." 20 minutes later, they were sitting outside a small convenience store, sharing melting ice cream beneath the evening sky. Benita suddenly became quiet. "What are you thinking about?" Min-jun asked. She watched a little girl chasing pigeons across the park. "I wonder what life will look like 5 years from now." "You'll probably be studying medicine." She smiled faintly. "And you?" "I'll probably still be drawing buildings." "You'll be designing them." He chuckled. "You have more confidence in me than I do." "Someone has to." She looked at him for a long moment before speaking again. "If..." She hesitated. "If one day things don't go the way we planned." He frowned. "They will." "But if they do?" He shook his head. "I don't like impossible questions." She smiled sadly. "Humor me." He thought for a moment. "Then, I'll just make a new plan." She looked surprised. That's it. Life doesn't always ask for permission before changing. He shrugged. So we keep going. She looked away quickly, blinking back unexpected tears. I hope you remember those words someday. He laughed softly. Why wouldn't I? Instead of answering, she reached across the bench and quietly intertwined her fingers with his. He squeezed her hand. Neither realized that time was already slipping through their fingers far faster than either of them imagined. His hand remained wrapped around hers long after the ice cream had melted. Neither of them seemed eager to let go. Cars passed. Children laughed in the nearby playground. The evening breeze carried the scent of blooming flowers through the park. Everything around them felt ordinary. Yet somehow, neither of them realized they were quietly living the moments they would both treasure forever. Benita broke the silence first. Can I ask you something? You just did. She rolled her eyes. You know what I mean. He laughed. Go ahead. She looked down at their intertwined fingers. What was your first impression of me? He smiled to himself. You really want the truth. I always want the truth. I thought you looked terrified. Her eyebrows lifted. Terrified. You were holding your backpack like someone was going to steal it. She laughed so hard, she nearly dropped her spoon. I was terrified. I know. I thought everyone hated me. They didn't. A few of them did. They didn't know you. She looked at him. And you. I thought. He hesitated. What? You looked lonely. Her smile slowly faded. I was. You aren't anymore. The words escaped naturally. Benita stared at him for several long seconds. Then she quietly whispered, No, I'm not. The following Saturday, Benita invited Min-jun to an international community festival near the Han River. My father is helping organize the Nigerian cultural exhibition, she explained excitedly over the phone. You have to come. I don't know anyone. You know me. I'll look awkward. You always look awkward. That's rude. It's honest. He sighed dramatically. I regret answering this call. She burst into laughter. No, you don't. No. I'll see you tomorrow. He smiled despite himself. I'll be there. The festival overflowed with music, colorful decorations, food stalls, and performances from dozens of countries. Min-jun had never seen anything like it. Bright Ankara fabrics danced in the wind. Traditional Korean drums echoed from one side of the park, while Afrobeats blasted from another. Children ran between cultural exhibits, waving tiny flags from around the world. Benita spotted him almost immediately. There you are. She hurried toward him wearing a stunning blue and gold Ankara dress that shimmered in the sunlight. For a moment, Min-jun completely forgot how to speak. She tilted her head. What? Nothing. She narrowed her eyes. You were starring. I was. You absolutely were. He rubbed the back of his neck. You look. She waited. Different. She laughed. Different. I mean. He groaned. I'm making this worse. A little. You look beautiful. The words slipped out before he could stop them. Silence. Benita blinked. A soft blush spread across her cheeks. Thank you. Neither of them noticed Benita's father watching from a nearby booth. He smiled knowingly before walking over. So, Benita turned. Dad. She hugged him. I want you to meet someone. Her father extended his hand. You must be Kim Min-jun. Min-jun bowed respectfully. It's nice to meet you, sir. I've heard a lot about you. Min-jun glanced nervously at Benita. Good things. Her father laughed. Very good things. Benita looked horrified. Dad. What? You don't have to embarrass me. I'm only telling the truth. He turned back to Min-jun. She talks about you almost every day. Benita covered her face. I can't believe this. Min-jun couldn't stop smiling. Really? She peeked through her fingers. Don't enjoy this so much. I might. Her father chuckled. I'll leave you two alone. As he walked away, Benita sighed dramatically. I may never recover from that. I thought it was sweet. You weren't the one being embarrassed. I'll remember that. She folded her arms. If you ever meet my mother. Oh. I'm getting revenge. They spent the afternoon wandering through the festival together. Benita convinced him to taste spicy jollof rice. His eyes watered almost immediately. She laughed so hard she had to hold onto his arm. It's not funny. It absolutely is. My mouth is on fire. She handed him a bottle of water. You'll survive. I don't think I will. You've eaten one spoonful. It was a dangerous spoonful. She laughed again. You Koreans really don't handle spice well. We invented kimchi. And yet, she pointed at his watering eyes. Here you are. He shook his head. I've been set up. You volunteered. I was manipulated. I simply encouraged cultural exchange. You call this encouragement. I do. He couldn't help laughing with her. For hours they explored every booth. Shared snacks. Watched performances. Took dozens of ridiculous photographs. At one booth, visitors could write wishes on colorful ribbons and tie them onto a large wishing tree. Benita picked up a ribbon. What should I write? Isn't that personal? Maybe. She smiled. What are you writing? I'm not telling you. Why? If I tell you. She shrugged. It might not come true. Min-jun smiled and began writing. They tied their ribbons onto the tree at exactly the same time. Neither looked at the other's wish. Neither knew they had written almost identical words. Please let us stay together for a very long time. As evening settled over Seoul, fireworks exploded above the Han River. The crowd cheered. Bright colors reflected across the water. Benita leaned against the railing, watching the sky. They're beautiful. They are. She looked sideways at him. You know. What? I've never thanked you. For what? For making Korea feel like home. He frowned. You did that yourself. No. She shook her head. I almost asked my parents to transfer me somewhere else. His expression changed instantly. What? My first week here. She laughed softly. I cried every night. His chest tightened. I didn't know. I didn't want anyone to know. She looked back at the fireworks. Then one quiet boy offered me a seat in the cafeteria. He smiled. I remember. I don't think you realize. Her voice cracked slightly. How much that changed everything. He looked at her carefully. I'm glad I did. So am I. Their eyes met. Neither looked away. The fireworks continued exploding overhead. But neither of them noticed any more. Slowly, almost nervously, Min-jun reached for her hand. She let him. Neither spoke. They simply stood together watching reflections dance across the river until the final firework disappeared into the night. A few days later, the school announced preparations for prom. The hallway buzzed with excitement. Girls discussed dresses. Boys argued about tuxedos. Everyone seemed determined to make the evening unforgettable. Benita walked into class, carrying a stack of books, when 3 girls suddenly blocked her path. The leader smiled politely. Too politely. Benita. Yes, we wanted to ask you something. Sure, you and Min-jun. She hesitated dramatically. Are you dating? Benita smiled. We're close. So that's a yes. Before she could answer, another girl folded her arms. You know Jae-yoon likes him. Benita blinked. I didn't know. Well, the girl shrugged. Now you do. The atmosphere became tense. We're just saying. The leader stepped closer. Maybe don't lead him on if you're planning to leave Korea after graduation anyway. Benita's smile faded. I'm not leading anyone on. You'll go back to Nigeria eventually. My future isn't decided yet. But his is. Another girl crossed her arms. Don't make promises you can't keep. Before Benita could respond, a familiar voice interrupted. What's going on? All four girls turned. Min-jun stood a few steps away. Nothing, one of them answered quickly. We were just talking. It didn't sound like talking. Benita forced a smile. It's okay. He looked directly at her. No, it is. The girls exchanged uncomfortable glances. Finally, Jae-yoon sighed. Forget it. One by one, they walked away. Min-jun turned back to Benita. Are you okay? She nodded. They're just worried. About what? She looked down. About me hurting you. He stared at her in disbelief. Hurting me? What if they're right? They're not. You don't know that. I do. She looked into his eyes. What if one day I have to leave? He answered without hesitation. Then I'll visit you. What if it's far? I'll save money. What if it's difficult? I'll figure it out. What if? He gently interrupted her. Benita. She fell silent. I'm not afraid of distance. His voice softened. I'm only afraid of losing you. Those words hit her harder than he could ever imagine. She smiled. But for the first time, it didn't quite reach her eyes. That evening, alone in her bedroom, Benita quietly opened the drawer of her desk. Hidden beneath a stack of notebooks was a small white envelope. Inside, medical reports, heart scans, prescriptions, appointment dates. She stared at them for a long time before tracing one trembling finger across the doctor's final words. Progression worsening. Immediate surgical intervention strongly recommended. A tear landed on the page. She quickly wiped it away before anyone could see. Then she folded the papers carefully, slid them back into the envelope, closed the drawer, and whispered into the empty room. I'm sorry, Min-jun. I don't know how much longer I can keep pretending. Benita barely slept that night. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Min-jun's face. I'm only afraid of losing you. His words echoed through her mind until dawn. She sat on the edge of her bed, clutching the white envelope against her chest. I'll tell him tomorrow, she whispered to herself. Then she shook her head. No, after prom. A few seconds later, she changed her mind again. No, after graduation. She laughed bitterly through her tears. There will never be a right time. A gentle knock came at her bedroom door. Benita, her father called. Breakfast is ready. She quickly shoved the envelope back into the drawer. I'm coming. She forced another smile before opening the door. She had become frighteningly good at pretending everything was fine. Prom night finally arrived. The ballroom glittered beneath crystal chandeliers. Students filled the dance floor wearing elegant dresses and tailored suits. Music floated through the room as cameras flashed from every direction. When Benita stepped inside in a simple emerald green gown, conversations paused for just a moment. She looked breathtaking. Min-jun had been waiting near the entrance. The moment he saw her, every carefully rehearsed compliment disappeared. She laughed. Why are you looking at me like that? He blinked. You forgot how to talk again. I think I did. She smiled warmly. You clean up nicely too. He looked down at his suit. I feel uncomfortable. You look handsome. I feel like I'm wearing someone else's clothes. She slipped her hand into his. Then stay close to me. I was planning to. The band began playing a slow melody. Couples drifted toward the dance floor. Benita looked at him. Will you dance with me? I've never danced. So, I'll step on your feet. You probably will. You still want to dance. I only want to dance with you. He took a deep breath. Then, don't complain afterward. She laughed. I won't. They stepped onto the dance floor. His movements were awkward. Hers were effortless. Within seconds, he accidentally stepped on her shoe. Ouch. I'm sorry. 30 seconds later. He did it again. She burst into laughter. I warned you. You did. I told you this would happen. You also promised me one dance. So you're staying. She tightened her hand around his. I'm staying. For the next few minutes, they forgot about exams. Forgot about graduation. Forgot about tomorrow. It was just the two of them. The music. And the quiet rhythm of two hearts that believed they still had forever. Later that evening, students gathered outside the ballroom to release glowing paper lanterns into the night sky. Each lantern carried a handwritten wish. Benita stared at hers for a long moment. Min-jun noticed. What did you write? She smiled. If I tell you, it won't come true. She laughed. You remembered. I remember everything you tell me. Her smile trembled. I know. He held up his own lantern. Ready? She nodded. Together they released them. Hundreds of tiny lights floated upward, disappearing among the stars. Benita quietly whispered, Please let him be happy. What? Min-jun asked. She quickly smiled. I said they're beautiful. They are. He looked at her. I made another promise tonight. You did. To myself. What was it? No matter where life takes us. He gently squeezed her hand. I'll always choose you. The smile on her face remained. The tears in her eyes did not. 3 days later. Everything changed. Classes ended early after Benita suddenly collapsed during chemistry. One moment she was copying notes. The next, her pencil slipped from her fingers. Her vision blurred. Then darkness swallowed everything. Benita. Students rushed from their seats. Min-jun caught her before she hit the floor. Call an ambulance. Benita. Open your eyes. She slowly regained consciousness. I'm okay. No. Min-jun's voice shook. No, you're not. The school nurse insisted she be taken to the hospital immediately. Benita tried to protest. It's unnecessary. It is. She looked desperately toward Min-jun. He wasn't speaking. He simply held her hand the entire ambulance ride. His silence frightened her more than anything. Several hours later, she awoke in a hospital room. Her parents stood quietly beside the bed. Outside the slightly open door. She heard voices. She can't keep hiding this. I know. He deserves to know. Benita slowly closed her eyes. No. She already knew what was happening. Before she could stop him, her father opened the door. Min-jun. He looked up immediately. Yes, sir. Come with me. Benita tried to sit up. Dad. But it was too late. A few minutes later, Min-jun stood inside the cardiologist's office. Scans covered the screen. Medical charts lay scattered across the desk. The doctor folded his hands. Kim Min-jun. His voice was calm. Benita was born with a congenital heart condition. Min-jun frowned. What? She's undergone treatment since childhood. His heartbeat quickened. No. The condition has progressed much faster over the past year. Every word felt heavier than the last. Without immediate surgery. The doctor's voice softened. There is a significant chance she may not survive. The room fell completely silent. Min-jun stared at the scans without truly seeing them. His lips moved, but no sound came out. Finally, he whispered, "Does?" His voice broke. "Does Benita know?" The doctor nodded. She has known for years. His knees nearly gave way. She knew. His eyes filled instantly. And she never told me. He walked out of the office in a daze. Nothing around him felt real anymore. The bright hospital lights, the nurses, the sound of footsteps, everything blurred together. He stopped outside Benita's room. She looked up the moment he entered. One look at his face. And she knew. "You know." He nodded silently. Neither spoke. Tears slowly rolled down her cheeks. "I'm sorry." His voice trembled. "For how long?" "Since I was 8. You knew." She nodded. "And you smiled anyway." "I wanted normal. You carried this alone. I didn't want you to pity me." He walked toward her. His own tears finally escaped. "I'm not crying because I pity you." He knelt beside her bed. "I'm crying because you were hurting. And I wasn't there." She gently cupped his face. "You were there." "No. I was. I should have noticed." "You noticed." "I should have asked." "You did." "I should have done something." She smiled through her tears. "You loved me." He closed his eyes. That was enough. She rested her forehead against his. "No." She whispered softly. "It was everything." Silence settled between them. Not uncomfortable. Not empty. Just painfully honest. Finally, Benita reached into her hospital bag and pulled out a small blue bracelet. "I made this for graduation." His trembling hand accepted it. "I was going to give it to you after the ceremony." His vision blurred again. "We're still going." She looked away. "Min-jun." "We're still going." Her tears flowed freely now. "I don't know if I can." He held both of her hands tightly. "Then I'll carry you." She laughed through her tears. "You always say impossible things." He managed the faintest smile. "I learned from you." She leaned forward and wrapped her arms around him. Neither of them noticed the tears soaking into each other's shoulders. Neither wanted to let go. Because for the first time since they met, they both understood that forever might not be measured in years. Sometimes, forever was simply the time two hearts were lucky enough to beat together. Graduation morning arrived beneath a sky so clear it almost felt cruel. Sunlight poured through Benita's bedroom window. Her emerald graduation gown hung neatly beside the wardrobe. Her cap rested carefully on the dresser. For a long moment, she simply stared at them. "So," she whispered to herself, "we made it." Her mother smiled through watery eyes as she helped button the gown. "You look beautiful." Benita laughed softly. "You've said that 3 times already. And I'll keep saying it." Her father adjusted the graduation sash with trembling hands. "You've made us so proud." She hugged both of them tightly. "I love you." Her mother frowned. "Why are you saying it like that?" Benita forced a brighter smile. "Because I don't say it enough." A car horn sounded outside. Min-jun. He had arrived exactly when he promised. Benita picked up her graduation cap and took one excited step toward the front door. Then another. Suddenly, a sharp pain exploded through her chest. She stopped. The cap slipped from her fingers. Benita. Her breathing became uneven. Her vision blurred. No. She reached for the wall. I'm okay. But before she could finish the sentence, everything went black. Outside, Min-jun checked his watch for the 5th time. She's never late. He smiled to himself. She's probably teasing me. 5 more minutes passed. His smile disappeared. He reached for his phone. Before he could dial, the front door burst open. Benita's father rushed outside. Min-jun. One look at his face was enough. What happened? She's collapsed. The words felt like a punch to the chest. Min-jun sprinted into the house. Benita lay unconscious on the living room floor, while paramedics worked desperately around her. No. He dropped beside her. Benita. There was no response. He grabbed her cold hand. Hey. His voice shook violently. You promised me. A paramedic gently pulled him back. We need room. No. Please. I said no. Her mother sobbed uncontrollably. Her father stood frozen. Within seconds, Benita was lifted onto a stretcher. Min-jun climbed into the ambulance without asking permission. No one stopped him. The sirens screamed through the streets of Seoul. Inside the ambulance, machines beeped relentlessly. A paramedic continued chest compressions, while another adjusted oxygen. Min-jun refused to release her hand. Benita. Nothing. You hear me? Silence. You don't get to leave yet. His tears landed on her fingers. You still owe me graduation. Her eyelids fluttered ever so slightly. He leaned closer. I'm here. Very slowly. Her fingers squeezed his. Barely. But enough. Hope flooded through him. That's it. He smiled through tears. Stay with me. Doctors were already waiting when the ambulance arrived. The stretcher disappeared through the emergency doors. Min-jun tried to follow. A nurse stopped him. You have to wait here. I can't. You must. The operating room doors slammed shut. The red emergency light switched on. Time stopped. Minutes felt like hours. He paced the hallway endlessly. He prayed. He cried. He replayed every memory they had ever shared. The cafeteria. The cherry blossoms. The festival. The awkward dance at prom. The wishing tree. Every laugh. Every smile. Every promise. He pulled the blue bracelet from his pocket. The one she had made for graduation. His hands shook as he tied it beside the faded friendship bracelet already around his wrist. I promised. He whispered. I'll wear both forever. Nearly an hour later, the cardiologist stepped out. His expression alone told the story. Min-jun's heart sank. No. The doctor lowered his eyes. She regained consciousness for a few moments. Can I see her? The doctor nodded. But you should prepare yourself. Benita looked impossibly small beneath the white hospital blankets. The steady beeping of the heart monitor filled the room. She slowly opened her eyes as he approached. You came. He forced a smile. I told you. His voice cracked. I'll always come. She looked at his wrist. You wore it. I'll never take it off. A faint smile crossed her lips. I knew you wouldn't. He gently brushed a strand of hair away from her face. We're still going to graduation. She laughed weakly. You're stubborn. I learned from you. Silence settled between them. Finally, she whispered. I'm scared. He took her hand immediately. So am I. I don't want to leave. You won't. She slowly shook her head. I think. Her breathing became uneven. I think it's time. No. Min-jun. No. You promised to listen when I was honest. His tears fell freely now. I'm listening. She smiled through her own tears. Don't spend your whole life missing me. I can't. You can. I don't want anyone else. You don't have to today. She squeezed his hand with the little strength she had left. But someday, she whispered, when your heart is ready. Love again. He shook his head desperately. I only want you. And you'll always have me. She lifted her trembling hand toward his face. Not here. She gently touched the center of his chest. Here. His sobs became uncontrollable. I love you. I know. I'll love you forever. Her smile grew just a little brighter. I believe you. Outside the hospital window, cherry blossom petals drifted gently through the air. She watched them for one final moment. They're beautiful. He nodded, unable to speak. Her breathing slowed. She looked into his eyes one last time. Thank you, she whispered, for making my forever so beautiful. The monitor gave one long, continuous tone. Her hand slipped from his. The room fell completely silent. Min-jun bowed his head against her hand and cried harder than he ever had in his life. Only 2 hours later, wearing the same graduation suit stained with tears, he walked into the school auditorium alone. When the principal called, Benita Amadi. No one moved. The silence was overwhelming. Then, from the front row, Kim Min-jun slowly stood. With Benita's diploma in one hand and both bracelets on his wrist, he walked onto the stage. Not a single person in the auditorium remained seated. Teachers, students, parents, every one of them rose in a silent standing ovation as tears streamed down countless faces. Min-jun accepted her diploma, pressed it gently against his chest, and looked toward the empty chair where she should have been sitting. Without saying a word, he smiled through his tears. Because he knew she had kept her promise. She had made it to graduation. Just not in the way either of them had dreamed. And that's where today's story comes to an end. Thank you so much for watching and for being part of this amazing community. Until our next story, stay safe, stay inspired, and remember, sometimes the most unexpected love stories become the most unforgettable ones. See you in the next video.